Imagine you're standing in the middle of a crowded street in New York City. The horns are blaring, people are shoving past you, and your phone is blowing up with notifications you're too stressed to even open. Now imagine you have a remote control in your pocket. You press a button and the world goes completely silent. The chaos is still there, the cars are still moving, the people are still shouting, but it doesn't touch you. You're in a glass bubble, totally untouchable, totally at peace. You'd pay $1 million for that remote, wouldn't you? Well, here's the kicker. You already have it. You just haven't been taught how to turn it on. Most of us spend our entire lives being pushed around by things we can't even see. We wake up, check our emails, and immediately let a stranger's bad mood ruin our morning. We see a post on social media and feel like a loser because we're not on a private jet in the Maldives. We're like a piece of driftwood in the middle of the ocean, getting tossed around by every single wave that comes our way. It's exhausting, it's draining, and honestly, it's a choice. You've probably heard people talk about staying positive or manifesting your dreams. Let's be real, that stuff usually falls apart the second life actually gets hard. When you lose your job, good vibes only isn't going to pay the rent. When someone you love breaks your heart, a motivational quote on a sunset background feels like a slap in the face. What you need isn't a pep talk. You need a blueprint for mental combat. You need to understand why your brain is currently wired to keep you miserable and how to hack the system to become the most dangerous person in the room, the one who doesn't react. Think about the last time you got really angry. Maybe someone cut you off in traffic, or a coworker took credit for your idea. In that moment, did you feel like you were in charge? No. You were a passenger. Your heart rate spiked, your face got hot, and your brain went into a fog. For those few minutes, you weren't you. You were a slave to a chemical reaction. And the worst part? The person who upset you? They won. They rented a room in your head for free, and they're throwing a party while you're the one cleaning up the mess. Stoicism isn't about being a robot. It's not about having a heart made of stone or never feeling a single emotion. It's about being the mountain. The weather changes every 5 minutes on a mountain. It rains, it snows, the sun beats down, lightning strikes the peak. But does the mountain move? Does it complain? No, it just stands there, massive and unbothered, while the storm eventually gets tired and moves on. Right now, you're not the mountain, you're the weather. You're a mess of shifting winds and lightning bolts, wondering why you can't find a sense of solid ground. We've been lied to. We've been told that if we just get the right car, the right partner, or the right amount of money, we'll finally be happy. But look around. Some of the most successful people in the world are the most fragile. One bad headline or one mean comment and they crumble. They have everything on the outside, but they're bankrupt on the inside. If you want to stop feeling like a victim of your own life, you have to stop looking at the world as something that happens to you and start looking at it as something that happens for you. That guy who cut you off, he's not an obstacle, he's a training partner. That rejection letter, it's not a failure, it's a stress test for your ego. We're going to dive deep into the rules of the game that no one ever told you about. We're going to strip away the excuses, the poor me attitude, and the constant need for validation that's currently keeping you small. By the time we're done, you're not just going to feel better. You're going to be different. You're going to be the person who can walk through a burning building and not even smell like smoke. The truth is, most people are addicted to their own stress. It sounds crazy, right? Why would anyone choose to feel like their chest is tightening or like their brain is a browser with 50 tabs open? But think about it. When you're stressed, you feel busy. When you're angry, you feel powerful. When you're worried, you feel like you're actually doing something about the problem. It's a trap. It's a high-octane hit of adrenaline that makes you feel alive while it's actually burning your engine out. The Stoics had a word for this: pathos. It basically means a suffering or a sickness of the soul. They realized that most of our big feelings aren't actually helping us, they're just glitches in the software. You've been running on a bugged operating system since you were a kid, and today we're hitting the factory reset button. Think about a surgeon. If you're on the operating table and things start going sideways, do you want a surgeon who's passionate and emotionally invested in how unfair it is that your artery is leaking? Do you want them crying or screaming at the nurses because the situation is toxic? No, you want the person who is cold, calculated, and focused. You want the person who sees the blood not as a tragedy, but as a technical problem to be solved. That's the level of clarity we're aiming for in your life. We live in a culture that tells us our feelings are sacred. If you feel offended, someone must be punished. If you feel tired, you should quit. If you feel not in the mood, you should wait. But here's the cold, hard truth. The universe doesn't care how you feel. The rain doesn't check if you have an umbrella before it pours. The economy doesn't ask if you're ready before it dips. If you base your life on your feelings, you are building a house on a swamp. One day it's sunny and the ground is firm. The next day, the tide comes in and your kitchen is underwater. Most of what we call bad luck is actually just a lack of preparation for the inevitable. People act shocked when they get stuck in traffic or when a friend lets them down. Why? Humans have been flaky, and roads have been crowded since the beginning of time. Marcus Aurelius, the guy who basically ran the known world as the Emperor of Rome, used to wake up and tell himself, "Today I'm going to meet people who are ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, and annoying." He didn't say it to be a jerk. He said it so that when it happened, he wouldn't be surprised. He wouldn't lose his cool. He'd already played the movie in his head, so when the credits rolled, he just walked out of the theater while everyone else was still screaming at the screen. You're probably thinking, okay, that sounds great for a Roman emperor, but I have actual bills and a boss who hates me. I get it. But the physics of the mind are the same whether you're wearing a toga or a hoodie. The pain you're feeling right now isn't coming from your boss or your bank account. It's coming from the story you're telling yourself about your boss and your bank account. Imagine you're holding a cup of coffee. Someone bumps into you and you spill it everywhere. Why did you spill the coffee? Most people say because that guy bumped into me. But that's a lie. You spilled the coffee because coffee was in your cup. If you had tea in the cup, you would have spilled tea. When life bumps into you, and it will, hard, whatever is inside you is what's going to come out. If you're full of bitterness, frustration, and why me, that's what's going to splash all over the floor. But if you've filled your cup with discipline, perspective, and a little bit of that mountain energy we talked about, then nothing can make you spill your peace. We spend so much energy trying to change the person who bumped into us. We want to yell at them, report them, or make them apologize. But we spend zero energy making sure we're not carrying around a cup full of poison in the first place. You can't control the crowded street. You can't control the clumsy guy. But you have 100% control over what's inside your cup. That is the only real power you will ever have in this life. Everything else is an illusion. Let's talk about your circle of control. Most people are living their lives like they're trying to steer a ship by shouting at the waves. They're stressed about the weather, they're mad at the wind, and they're terrified of the clouds on the horizon. Meanwhile, the rudder, the only thing they actually have their hands on, is swinging wildly back and forth because they're too busy complaining to actually grab it. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control. It sounds like a fancy philosophy term, but it's actually the ultimate life hack for your mental health. It's a filter. Every single thing that happens to you today goes through this filter. You ask one simple question: is this up to me? If the answer is no, you drop it. You don't just try to ignore it. You delete it from your brain's processing power. Think about how much energy you waste on things that aren't up to you. You worry about what your ex thinks of your new post. You worry about whether your company is going to lay people off next quarter. You worry about a politician you've never met making a decision you can't change. That's like trying to run a marathon while carrying a backpack full of bricks. No wonder you're tired. No wonder you feel like you're failing. You're trying to play God in a world where you're just a player. Now, look at the things that are up to you. Your character, your intentions, your responses, your effort. That's it. That's the entire list. You don't control if you get the promotion, but you control how hard you work for it. You don't control if people like you, but you control if you're a person worth liking. When you realize this, something weird happens. You stop being a victim. A victim is someone who is waiting for the world to be fair before they start winning. A Stoic is someone who realizes the world is a chaotic mess and decides to win anyway. Think about a professional poker player. They can't control the cards they're dealt. They could get the worst hand at the table 5 times in a row. Does a pro start crying and blaming the dealer? No. They play the hand they have as perfectly as possible. They focus on the betting, the bluffing, and the strategy. If they lose the hand because the cards were bad, they don't care, because they played the controllables perfectly. You're playing the game of life, and you're obsessed with the cards. You're staring at your hand, wishing you had an ace, while your opponent is watching you crumble. If you've got a 2 and a 7, play them like they're a pair of kings. That's how you take your power back. We live in a world that is designed to keep you looking outside of yourself. Marketing agencies spend billions of dollars to make you feel like you're missing something. News cycles are built to keep you in a state of constant, low-level panic. Why? Because a person who is focused on their own internal strength is impossible to sell to. A person who doesn't need external validation is a threat to the system. When you stop caring about what you can't control, you become dangerously free. You start making decisions based on your values, not your fears. You start speaking your truth because you realize that other people's reactions are out of bounds. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that nothing, absolutely nothing, that happens outside of your own mind can actually hurt you unless you give it permission. Your car breaks down? It's just metal and plastic failing. It sucks, sure, but it hasn't touched your character. Your boss yells at you? Those are just vibrations in the air. They don't change who you are unless you let them sink in. This isn't about being passive. It's about being precise. It's about saving all that outrage energy and worry energy and dumping it into the one thing that actually moves the needle, your own actions. Most people are 10% action and 90% emotional reaction. We're going to flip that. We're going to get you to 90% calculated action and 10% whatever happens, happens. That's the difference between a person who survives life and a person who masters it. One is constantly reacting to the shadows on the wall. The other realizes they're the one holding the flashlight. Now, Let's talk about the ghost that's been following you around since you were old enough to talk. It's called the future. Most of us are living in a horror movie that hasn't even been filmed yet. We're experts at imagining the absolute worst-case scenarios. We play out the breakup, the bankruptcy, the health scare, and the public embarrassment in high-definition 4K resolution with surround sound. And here's the crazy part. Your body doesn't know the difference between a thought and reality. When you imagine failing, your brain sends out the same stress chemicals as if you were actually failing. You're literally poisoning yourself over a fantasy. The Stoics had a brutal reality check for this. They called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Now that sounds dark, right? Like we're just being pessimistic. But it's actually the ultimate cure for anxiety. See, anxiety lives in the what-if. It's a blurry, foggy monster that hides in the corner of your mind. Premeditatio malorum is like turning on a stadium floodlight. You don't just worry about the what-if, you walk right up to it, look it in the eye, and say, okay, let's say the worst happens. Then what? If you lose your job, you'll be stressed. You'll have to cut back. You might have to move. But will you still be you? Can you still breathe? Can you still learn? Can you still find a way to be useful? The answer is always yes. When you realize that the worst thing isn't actually a death sentence, the fear loses its grip. You stop being a hostage to maybe and start being a master of now. We spend so much time trying to build a fortress around our lives so that nothing bad ever touches us. We want the perfect insurance policy, the perfect savings account, the perfect reputation. But the fortress is a lie. Life is a siege. Things break. People leave. Plans fail. The only real security isn't a wall on the outside, it's the strength on the inside. It's the knowledge that no matter what the world throws at you, you have the tools to handle it. Think about an athlete. Does a world-class boxer go into the ring hoping they don't get hit? No. They know they're going to get hit. They've practiced getting hit. They've built the muscle to take a punch and keep their feet. Their confidence doesn't come from a perfect fight. It comes from knowing they can bleed and still win. Most of you are trying to live life without ever getting a scratch. You're so afraid of the punch that you're paralyzed. You're losing the fight before it even starts because you're trying to avoid the unavoidable. There's a famous story about a Stoic who was told his son had died. Most people would expect him to collapse in grief. But his response was simple. I always knew that I had fathered a mortal. That's not coldness. That's the ultimate form of love and presence. It means he didn't waste a single second of his son's life being shocked by the reality of death. He accepted the terms of the contract of life from day one. The contract you signed when you were born says this: everything is temporary. Your youth, your money, your relationships, your health, they're all on loan. You don't own any of it. You're just holding on to it for a little while. When you realize that, you stop being so desperate. You stop clinging to things that are destined to change. You start enjoying them while they're here, and you let them go when it's time. Imagine how much power you'd have if you weren't afraid of losing anything. If someone threatens to fire you, and you know you're a hard worker who can survive on bread and water if you have to, they have no leverage over you. If someone threatens to leave you, and you know you're a whole person who doesn't need a half to be complete, they can't break you. We're taught that wanting things is the key to success. But the Stoics knew that not needing things is the key to freedom. The person who wants the least is the hardest to control. The person who is okay with having nothing is the person who can eventually have everything, because they're not acting out of desperation. they're acting out of purpose. So, stop waiting for the storm to pass. Stop praying for a life without problems. Start praying for the strength to handle the problems you're definitely going to have. Stop being a victim of the what-if and start being the architect of the even-if. Even if I fail, I'll learn. Even if I'm alone, I'll grow. Even if it hurts, I'll endure. That's the mountain energy. That's the remote control. Let's get into the most uncomfortable truth of all. Your ego is a liar. It's that little voice in your head that's constantly whispering that you're special, that you deserve better, and that the world owes you a break. It's the same voice that gets offended when someone doesn't text you back immediately, or when you don't get the credit you think you earned. That voice isn't your friend. It's a parasite. It feeds on your insecurity and keeps you in a state of constant war with reality. The Stoics had a radical cure for this. Humility. Not the fake kind of humility where you put yourself down, but the real kind. The kind where you realize you're just one tiny part of a massive, ancient, and indifferent universe. Think about a single drop of water in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Does that drop of water get offended if the wave moves it to the left? Does it feel entitled to be at the top of the crest? Of course not. It just flows. Most of your suffering comes from the fact that you're trying to fight the ocean. You think the waves should move for you. You think the wind should blow in your favor. And when it doesn't, you take it personally. You start asking, why is this happening to me? Here's the Stoic answer. It's not happening to you. It's just happening. The person who insulted you has their own internal mess they're dealing with. The traffic jam is just a collection of cars. The rainy day is just weather. None of it is a personal attack on your soul unless you decide to see it that way. The ego loves to play the victim because being a victim feels safe. If it's the system's fault or your parents' fault or the boss's fault, then you don't have to change. You can just sit there and complain. But complainers are the easiest people in the world to replace. They're predictable, they're weak, and they're never the ones who actually make an impact. There's a concept called amor fati, the love of fate. It's not just accepting what happens, it's loving it. It's looking at a massive obstacle in your path and saying, perfect, this is exactly what I needed to get stronger. Imagine you're a fire. A little wind will blow out a candle, right? But a massive bonfire? The wind only makes it grow. It feeds on the very thing that was supposed to kill it. You need to become the bonfire. When life throws a setback at you, don't just tolerate it. Consume it. Use it as fuel. If you get rejected, use that time to sharpen your skills. If you get criticized, use it as a free audit of your weaknesses. If you're struggling financially, use it as a lesson in discipline and grit. When you adopt the mindset of amor fati, you become impossible to defeat. Because everything that happens, good or bad, is just more wood for the fire. Most people are terrified of failure because they tie their identity to their results. If they fail, they think they are a failure. But a Stoic knows that results are preferred indifference. Sure, we'd prefer to win, we'd prefer to be rich, we'd prefer to be healthy. But our worth isn't tied to those things. Our worth is tied to how we show up, how we treat others, and how we handle ourselves when the preferred things go away. Think about a professional athlete who gets a career-ending injury. For most, their life is over because they were the athlete. Their ego was wrapped up in their physical ability. But a Stoic athlete would say, the athlete chapter is closed. Now the coach chapter begins. Or the writer chapter, or the father chapter. They don't lose their identity because their identity wasn't in the trophy, it was in the character it took to chase the trophy. Stop protecting your image. Stop worrying about looking cool or successful to people who aren't even paying attention. The more you care about your reputation, the more power you give other people over you. You're essentially handing them a leash and asking them to take you for a walk. Snap the leash. Be okay with being misunderstood. Be okay with being the loser in someone else's story if it means you're the hero in your own. The only person you need to impress is the version of yourself you see in the mirror at 3 a.m. when the world is quiet. Did you do your best today? Did you control your temper? Did you help someone else? If the answer is yes, then the rest of the world's opinion is just noise. It's static on a radio station you're not even listening to. Now, let's talk about the most scarce resource you own. It's not money. It's not your followers. It's not even your talent. It's your attention. Right now, there is a literal war going on for your mind. Every app on your phone, every billboard on the highway, every person in your life who complains without seeking a solution, they are all trying to pickpocket your peace. They want you distracted, they want you reactive, and they want you chasing things that don't actually matter. The Stoics had a concept for this called prosoc. It's essentially spiritual alertness. It's the habit of standing at the door of your mind like a bouncer at an exclusive club. Most people let anyone in. A random TikTok makes them feel insecure? Come on in. A co-worker's snide comment makes them angry for 3 hours? Step right this way. A headline about a crisis halfway across the globe makes them feel helpless? Welcome to the VIP lounge. You have to start checking IDs at the door. You have to ask every thought and every external event, do you belong here? Are you helping me build the life I want, or are you just here to trash the place? Because if you don't guard your attention, you are a puppet. And everyone around you, the media, the algorithms, the toxic people, is pulling the strings. Think about your mind like a garden. If you stop tending to it for just a week, what happens? The weeds take over. They don't ask for permission. They don't wait for a formal invitation. They just grow because the environment allows it. Your anxiety, your procrastination, your doom scrolling, those are just weeds. You've been providing them with the perfect soil and plenty of water, and then you wonder why you feel suffocated. A Stoic doesn't just try to be focused. A Stoic builds a system. They realize that self-discipline isn't about having a massive amount of willpower. It's about making the right choices so easy that you don't even need willpower. If you're trying to eat healthy, but your kitchen is full of junk food, you're going to fail. If you're trying to be mentally strong, but you spend 4 hours a day absorbing negativity, you're going to fail. You have to be ruthless. You have to cut out the noise. This might mean boring your friends because you're not up to date on the latest celebrity drama. It might mean being the weird one who doesn't check their phone first thing in the morning. It might mean saying no to opportunities that look good on paper but feel like a cage for your soul. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic teachers, once said that people are frugal with their property and money, but as soon as it comes to waste of time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. Think about that. If someone tried to steal $20 from your wallet, you'd be ready to fight. But when someone steals 20 minutes of your peace with a pointless argument or a mindless scroll, you just hand it over. You're acting like you're going to live forever. You're acting like you have an infinite supply of next Tuesdays and some days. But you don't. Every second you spend being offended or distracted is a second of your life that is gone forever. You're literally trading bits of your existence for garbage. The secret to ultimate productivity and happiness isn't doing more. It's doing less of what doesn't matter. It's about stripping away the non-essentials until all that's left is the core. When you clear the clutter, you realize that you don't actually need that much to be happy. You just need a clear head, a steady heart, and a purpose that gets you out of bed in the morning. Stop being a consumer of life and start being a creator of your own reality. Stop letting the world tell you what to care about. Decide for yourself. If it doesn't make you a better person, if it doesn't help your family, if it doesn't bring you closer to your goals, it's noise. Turn the volume down. Better yet, turn it off. We've talked about the mountain, the cup of coffee, and the bouncer at the door of your mind. But now we come to the final and most powerful gear in the Stoic machine. It's the one thing that most people spend their entire lives running away from, but it's the only thing that can actually make you feel alive. The Stoics called it memento mori. Literally, remember that you will die. I know, you probably just felt a chill. We live in a world that tries to hide death. We put it in hospitals, we cover it with makeup, and we distract ourselves with shiny toys so we don't have to think about the fact that our clock is ticking. But by running away from death, you're actually running away from life. You're living in a demo mode, thinking you can always hit the restart button later. Think about it. If you knew you were going to live for 10,000 years, you'd never get anything done. You'd procrastinate on your dreams, you'd stay in that toxic relationship for another century, and you'd never tell the people you love how you really feel, because hey, there's always next millennium. Death is the deadline that gives life its value. It's the fire under your seat that forces you to move. A Stoic doesn't think about death to be depressed. They think about it to be urgent. When you realize that this could be your last conversation, your last meal, or your last sunset, the petty stuff just evaporates. Are you really going to stay mad at your brother over a comment he made 3 years ago if you realize one of you might not be here tomorrow? Are you really going to be afraid to start that business or ask that person out if you realize that the embarrassment you're afraid of will be forgotten in a heartbeat once you're gone? We're all just visiting this planet. We're on a short-term lease. When you stop acting like a permanent resident and start acting like a guest, you stop being so heavy. You start traveling light. You realize that you can't take the money, the trophies, or the likes with you. All you get to leave behind is the impact you had on the people around you and the quality of the soul you built while you were here. This is the ultimate freedom. If you're not afraid of the end, what is there left to be afraid of? Nothing. You become a person who can't be bullied, can't be bought, and can't be broken. You start living with a level of intensity and clarity that most people will never understand. You stop killing time, because you realize time is the one thing that's actually killing you. So, here's your challenge. Don't just watch this and go back to your old habits. Don't let this be another motivational video that you forget in 20 minutes. Grab that remote control we talked about in the beginning. Stand your ground as the mountain, check the IDs of your thoughts, love your fate, even the messy parts, and most importantly, live like you mean it. The world is noisy, it's chaotic, and it's often unfair. But you are the one in control, not your feelings, not your past, and certainly not the person who cut you off in traffic. You have the blueprint now. The only question is, are you brave enough to build it? If you found value in this journey today and want to keep building that mental fortress, do us a favor. Hit that like button, share this with someone who's feeling stuck, and subscribe to Stoic Origin. We're building a tribe of people who refuse to be victims, and we'd love to have you on the front lines with us. Stay strong, stay stoic, And remember, the obstacle isn't in your way, it is the way.